Today I am joined by Ruth Dent, who is a textile artist and is going to tell us all about her business and how she ended up getting into the textile industry. Before I do that, I'd just like to say, in case you're wondering who I am, I'm Kate Hills. I'm the founder of Make It British, and we'll be doing this every Tuesday where we'll be interviewing one of our Make It British members. So please let me welcome Ruth. Hello, Ruth.
Hello, Kate. I'm pleased to be here.
Thank you very much for being my guinea pig today. Let's kick off really by you telling everyone about you. Tell us, how did Ruth Dent, the artist, come about? And I'll let you take over.
Okay, thanks, Kate, and hello to everybody. It's been a bit Starship Enterprise around here, but we're here. Essentially, this is sort of my second career, and I used the birth of my son to sort of finish one career, which was in IT. And then I knew I wanted to do something completely different. So when he was about 2 years old, I enrolled on a adult education abstract art course, as you do. And then 3 years later, I found myself studying for a fine art printmaking degree full time. So I finished that in 2010. And then after that, obviously, I'm on my own, I'm doing my own thing. And at the time, my son had started in the Rochester Cathedral Choir. And one of the pieces of music I heard then was John Ireland's setting of the Te Deum. And this just blew me away. And my work had been all in relation to interpreting other art forms, so poetry, literature, music. So this fell right into the right place. And I thought, gosh, I've got to interpret that piece of music. So I got a recording of it from Rochester Cathedral, so it sounded right to me, and I sat and drew with charcoal. So I ended up with a series of marks and gestures, and I created a painting. And at that point, I thought I had interpreted that piece of music.
And you've got that painting there, don't tell me.
I haven't got
Blue Peter
the
style.
Painting. The painting has been sold, but I do have the scarf.
Wow, we can see that on the screen. That looks brilliant. Fantastic.
So,
yeah, really good.
So I put that painting on the wall to live with it for a while, just to make sure I still liked it. And a friend came round and said, "Oh my goodness, Ruth, I love that. I think I'd like it even more in autumn colours." So my brain went, oh, click, 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 I'll do the 4 seasons. So I then did that, and I ended up with 4 paintings of the 4 seasons, all using seasonal colours, but similar gestures from those original drawings. And then a while later, I showed the photos that I took to a friend, and he said they would look great as silk scarves.
Scarves, yeah, of course, yes.
Slowed the idea, but the idea didn't come to fruition for a couple of years because I was really busy. I had an exhibition in Rochester Cathedral because I'd interpreted Choral Evensong, and I then took that to other cathedrals in England. So I was a little bit busy, and then in the process, actually, it was quite interesting because somewhere in that timescale, I can't really remember when, but I was invited to a short course about textiles and art at UCA in Rochester. So I went along, and it was all very interesting, and I had some different ideas at the time, but then eventually when I sort of thought, actually, I really like the idea of effectively appropriating my own art and creating a new piece of art which somebody could then travel with, because we've got limited wall space. But if you like, a silk scarf doesn't really take up that much room in a drawer, and you can my work is all very colourful.
So the whole concept is that you're travelling with your art. So that's why the travel was my scarf.
Absolutely.
And how long ago was this that you turned the art into the product?
And it's 3.5 years ago, but it took me about a year to get from the initial idea of yes, this is what I'm going to do, to work through everything. And even then I hadn't worked through everything, because you never have.
So
but
tell me how that process worked then that year. What happened in that year to get from your initial concept? Because I know a lot of people that will be watching this may be in a similar situation where they've got an idea, or they may be an artist, or they want to turn something like that into a finished product with a UK manufacturer. Talk me through how that process worked.
Well, I suppose I made the decision that I wanted to produce silk scarves, and I always saw the scarves following my art. So my art comes first and the scarves follow. So I had that idea. I opened up discussions with a manufacturer that I had actually met at this course that I went to. So I went back to my notes, contacted them and said, look, how do we do this? I haven't got a clue. And they sort of said, well, we need a really high resolution image of your art.
Yep.
So that time I actually got a professional photographer to take the photos. Since then, I've actually bought myself a camera and I take the photos myself.
So you give a really high resolution image to that print. Whereabouts in the UK, by the way?
In Macclesfield.
Brilliant, the home of UK silk printing.
Yeah, and
fantastic.
There's a road called the Silk Road.
Yes, there is, definitely. Well, people should check that out, definitely.
I've been there. Oh, yes, I've been there.
So you then present them with a high resolution print of your image, so that could be something that someone's designed on the computer even, but yours happens to be done.
Yes, it can entirely. And then the other things that I did that year were to design my logo.
Yeah.
I also had the idea of travel to my scarf. I suddenly one morning I woke up with that idea.
Yeah.
I suddenly thought, oh, that fits. That's my strap line.
That's your marketing theme as well, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. So for it, the other thing is, so I don't know whether you can see here.
Oh yeah, look at that.
This is one of my latest scarves, and
we can see that. That's brilliant.
I've got my logo on the scarf, so I've got a number of colours I use, and then I actually the other thing I had to do was decide how I wanted to package everything, and I wanted it to be a gift to either yourself or to a really good friend. I mean, there's something special. There's something. They're not throwaway things. They're not cheap, and I'm not pretending they are, but they are, and they are a piece of art, and they are made in England on silk.
Yeah.
They're a bit different, and the whole idea is that they brighten your mood. They brighten the mood of other people, and you create your own memories. So what I did, I'd spent a lot of time researching packaging and everything, and I designed, I don't know how well you can see that, but that is my packaging.
Yeah, we can, if you hold it back a bit more. Yeah. You get that made in the UK as well, do you?
I make it myself.
Ah, right, okay. Brilliant. Gosh.
To the extent that I couldn't actually find what I wanted.
Yeah, interesting.
I design my own.
Yeah.
So it's an envelope, and I'm a bit of one of these. I sort of tie things with ribbon, so I quite like that.
Brilliant.
It comes with a label, so I've got get the labels printed. Oh, you can see it there. So I sign the labels and everything. And then because it's, I'm going to open this one up.
Can I just backtrack a little bit? Because we've jumped to the packaging, and I wanted to also get a grip on the manufacturing process with you and your printer. So with the high resolution image, you send it to the printers. They will then print you off what's called a strike off, do they? Yes, you actually before. Sorry, there is another little bit of the process in there, which is choosing your silk. Right. Yep. I like to choose
a different silk for each image. Now, because I've got the 4 seasons,
Yeah.
I chose one silk for all 4 of them because they are a collection in their own right.
Brilliant. And just a print. Sorry, Ruth, you carry on.
Since then I've chosen different silks, and the way I'm very sort of tactile person. Yeah. Is I actually sit in my studio, maybe with the painting in front of me.
Yeah.
I've got my silk samples, which the manufacturer sends you.
Yep.
And I'm sort of sitting there. Quite often I shut my eyes and I'm feeling, and I get down to 2 or 3, and then it's which one was best, and most of then one does come out, and I think, yes, that's it. That suits that image.
Right.
And do part of it, and then once you've chosen your silk, the manufacturer sort of say, can you print a sample?
Right.
And then generally print a whole. Well, what they did for me, they printed one whole scarf.
Yeah.
And then 3 stripes,
different colours.
See how one came out in its entirety.
Yeah.
The whole image, and then I could see the colour resolution of the others. And
so the manufacturer, the printer, provide all of their silks for you, that you work with their own existing fabrics. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I thought so. Yeah, brilliant.
Because these printers, I mean, they are amazing, and they're very loud.
Yeah, I've been to some of them. Yeah.
And they set their machines up for the silk. And all the other, I mean, you can print on other things, but I use silk. But their machines are set up for the silk that they get. So the manufacturer I use their silk. Yes.
And we're talking about digital printing here with your scarves, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. So for anyone that's watching who maybe isn't so knowledgeable about silk printing, there are obviously several different types, and you can print via a screen, or you can do rotary printing, or like you're doing, you can do digital printing. Now, obviously, there's advantages and disadvantages to digital printing, aren't there? You can do small quantities, but you also pay a lot more, but you can get lots and lots of colours in. And something like your product, I can imagine that digital printing suits it really well.
It does, yes, because I have to say the colour resolution is very good.
Yeah.
And as I've gone forward, there was at one point there was a change in inks. I'm not sure whether it was them. So it was the inks that they were using, or maybe they could no longer get one set, and so they actually just sent me some samples, sort of quarter-size samples of each of my scarves to sort of say, look, the ink's changed. This is where we are now. Please check that you're happy.
Yeah. And how long does it take you from when you first give the design to the printer to when you have the product ready to be shipped back to you, the finished product, the order?
Now I think it's a 15. I get mine printed and hemmed.
Right. Okay. So the printer hems them for you as well.
There's a 15-day lead time for each.
Right.
That's, I think. I mean, sometimes if they're exceptionally busy, and other times, because if I only want a small quantity, they can be easily fitted in amongst other things. It's just really, it's generally, I reckon, I mean, that's 6 weeks. So
you can turn round.
Add a little bit on just for safety.
Yeah.
But when I get them back, they're not ready because I have to.
Right. Okay.
I can print. I screen print my
logo on.
All of this is screen printed.
I see. So you have them digitally printed, and then you print your logo on top yourself.
Yeah. No, no. These aren't. These are just. I make these envelopes out of blotting paper.
Right, okay.
And I screen print.
Yeah, okay. Brilliant. But that's good. So it's good to know. So anyone that is thinking about doing their own printed scarves, a good sort of rule of thumb is 6 weeks from original design to getting your order back and ready from the manufacturers, which is amazing, because if you were making that, and I don't know whether Ruth, whether you ever spoke to any manufacturers overseas, but if you were doing that even with Italy, and certainly if you were making them in China, you'd be looking at a lot longer lead time, wouldn't you?
Well, I've only ever spoken to this manufacturer because we got on. You meet people, and if you get on with them, and I always wanted to make my scarves in Britain, so, and it was great. I visited them once, and I saw they set it all up. So one of my scarves was printing, which was brilliant. And if you're interested in seeing it being printed, I've got a YouTube video.
Oh, right, brilliant. Oh, well, I'll link to that then in the comments with this video. That's fantastic. In fact, that's probably
printing, one little line at a time. But that's not the end of the process. Once it's printed, it then has to go through this quite extensive washing and fixing process. So the scarves come out and they're dry clean only. But my goodness, what the silk has been through in the process is quite remarkable. It's hot, it's cold, it's dry, it's wet, but obviously that is part of the process to set the inks and everything else.
Brilliant. And then you said that the same manufacturer that you have also hems the scarves for you.
They do, and when I, as I say, I went up to see them, and it was when I was originally talking to them. They were bringing the hemming in house, and they made a space, and they set it up as a machine room. And then when I visited, it was really nice, because they were saying, well, not only we've employed X number of people, and we've taken on some apprentices as well. Which is brilliant.
Fantastic.
It's absolutely great.
That's really good. Fantastic. So you've obviously, I said at the beginning, you've been a member of Make It British for quite a while now, haven't you, Ruth?
3 years.
You have, So be lovely to hear as well any sort of benefits you've found from being a member, because as a small business, how do you go about finding new customers, and has being a member of Break It British helped that?
Well, I actually find I cut a long story short, I've tried a lot of different things, and then last year I spent the first 3 or 4 months going out and about to lots of different events, and then I got to about June and I thought, I haven't spent hardly any time in my studio, so I had a massive rethink. And really, I get most of my customers probably from word of mouth and from my newsletter. And one of the things, a couple of years ago, I participated in one of your Christmas
one of our giveaways. Yes, you did. Yes.
What I got from that was the email address of everybody who'd expressed an interest. And so that boosted my email list.
Brilliant. That's what we like to hear. Fantastic.
And obviously, because it's that sort, people sign up for something, and then if they didn't win it, some of the people think, oh, I'm not interested now. And it is, it has gone down, but that has been really interesting to see. That I think it was something like I had something like 660 names to start with. I've still got well over 400
who are still in the last couple of years. And
I still get about somewhere between a 15 and 20% open rate.
Excellent, that's good. And that's a big driver of sales for your British made business now, is it?
It is, because my newsletter is something that I love to do. And I sort of bring everybody up to date with what's happening in the studio, what I've been working on, and also what I've been looking at. So if I've been to an exhibition, I will give a review of the exhibition. It's not overtly salesy. I prefer personally, I prefer the softly approach, and that people join me for the journey.
That is so true. Yeah.
And they're interested in what I'm doing. I get people, you know, quite often if I've got a new piece of work, I'll sort of say, oh, hit reply, let me know what you think. And then it's always different people who hit reply.
Brilliant, that's good.
Interesting. So you sort of feel you're building up that connection. And
do you think a lot of that is because they're interested because you say these scarves are printed and made in Britain?
I think it probably is because people like to support British.
Yeah.
And even, I mean, I've sold abroad. I've sold in France, in America, and so it's that combination of the art, the quality, and where it's come from.
Brilliant, thank you. Shall I have a look now and see if anyone has popped in any questions, or if anyone's watching this? Because I know this, because this was our first one, it may have sprung it on a few people, and we but if anyone is out there and wants to ask a question of Ruth, let me just bear with me, Ruth. I'm just going to have a look over on my other monitor. Right, Claudette says, can you ask Ruth how long it takes to create her pieces from inspiration to conception? Well, I suppose we kind of covered the manufacturing process being 6 weeks, didn't we, Ruth? But from your inspiration, is that a lot longer?
Oh my goodness. Literally, you can, well, right, I'll give you an example, Claudette, because that's a really interesting question. Right, this, back in 2015, it was the centenary of the publication of Virginia Woolf's first novel, The Voyage Out, and I challenged myself to create an image which captured the spirit of the novel. Mm-hmm. This is the scarf that, right, I'll hold it up.
Yeah, brilliant.
Okay, all right, can you, okay.
Fantastic colours.
That particular painting was started and finished in an afternoon. It doesn't happen very often. I was working on some others, and it started off as an oil on canvas. I was working on a couple of other images, and then I had some paint over, and it was one of those, I did that and I got that result. If I did that, could I do that? And I just grabbed a canvas and worked like a sort of whirling dervish. For the afternoon, and it was probably less than 3 hours. I had this painting finished, and it then sat there for 3 months to dry. Gosh.
Right, okay. But if someone was working in a different way, so you work in oils, don't you? They take a lot longer to dry. Right.
So acrylics, they can be dry overnight, but I have to say sometimes, and the one I showed you originally, the big pink, right, I'll just show it to you and remind you, that big pink there, that was in the first layer. I'm very much a layer person. It's unusual for me to start and finish something in one go, but it does happen. But that pink layer took 3 days to dry. Right, and that's acrylics. So I don't know, it's really almost an impossible question to answer, because you can, at the moment I'm following, I've got a body of work that is continuing. It's called Visible, Invisible, Veiled.
Yeah.
And it started when I accidentally put some broken grids in a piece of work and thought, oh my goodness, that's so interesting. I want to explore that. And then as soon as I've seen them, every time I go for a walk in the woods, I see more. So it's very much nature, and that's this scarf here. This is one of those, and these are lots of layers because it's all about covering up. It's about broken grids, but it's also about the spirit, the feminine, what you can see, what you can't see, what you put down, and then after you put lots of layers on, what can you actually see through it. And a sort of celebration of nature and the moon, the stars, and
right, brilliant. So if someone has been inspired by you here, but wants to go away and find out more about you and see where they can buy your products, where can they do so? What's the best way of them finding you?
on my website,
which is
www.ruthdent.com.
Brilliant. I'll put a link to that in the comments for this post afterwards. Right, so thank you very much for joining me today, Ruth. You've been brilliant. You were very patient at the beginning when I had my technical hitches, and because we also did a test run of this yesterday, so I've spent the last 24 hours, I've got the bags under my eyes from trying to get this up and running. Thank you very much for being our first ever Make It British member live interview. You're an absolute star, Ruth, and I will see you again soon.